call to order the regular board meeting of August 9th and ask everyone to please silence your cell phones. And I would like to ask Ms. Emma Richardson if she would lead us in the flag salute. Our Gore High School board rep.
Sorry, we don't, yeah, we.
Surprise!
No good day,
Just mouth it.
Just
Okay.
ready to begin. Just ready to
Ready to
begin.
begin, all right.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have nothing to report out of closed session. And can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor, student?
Aye.
No,
Aye.
what? She said student.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
don't I look like a student? Oh, sorry.
Board?
Aye.
Aye.
And I just followed you blindly, so I was like,
It's summer, sorry.
Can I have a motion for the approval of the regular board meeting minutes of June 28th?
Just the one?
Are there
you
two?
doing
There's
both?
two.
That we weren't at, were the same board members at both?
Yes.
Okay, yes, we can do both then. I was
We-
thinking the same board members weren't at both.
I move we approve the minutes of June 28th, regular board meeting and special board meeting of July 5th, 2022.
You want a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
You
Aye.
have to
I know.
abstain.
I
Okay.
know. I have to abstain because I was not here for that meeting.
And,
Are you sure?
Yes.
yeah, and student board members were not at those
Oh,
meetings,
aye.
right?
Right.
So,
So three
three,
yeses, one
three
abstention.
yes. Staff board communication. So, Ms. Richardson, do you want to start?
Oh, turn that on real
You
quick.
got to make sure the light's on.
Is it good now? Okay.
All right.
Madam President, members of the board, I unfortunately don't have too many updates, but Agora and Calabasas are getting ready to go back to school. We have registration coming up, and I think I can speak for students that we're excited to get back to school. So,
Thank you very much. Ms. Cupbill?
I'll be brief because we have a really long, full agenda tonight. Just welcome to everyone. Welcome to our new staff members, and welcome to Ms. Richardson from Agora High.
Thank you very much. Ms. Stein?
Oh, me. Welcome to Ms. Richardson. Just sit back, relax, enjoy it. We know we have the orientation with you tomorrow, so we'll fill you in on everything then. We're glad you could join us tonight. Again, we are excited to welcome some new staff members today. I also had the opportunity with Mrs. Mingus to visit the Find My Genius program that is a partnership with the YMCA that is being held at Sumac, and it is oh, there it is. There we are. And it is so much fun. This year they added a component where the students go over to the Agora High School black box in the Performing Arts Education Center and have a music component. And oh my God, what's that? You don't know about Bruno? That's like still in my head.
don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah, that's it. You don't talk about Bruno. So, but anyway, it was so much fun. The students had the best time. The staff had a great time. My hat is off to Dr. Gleason. You were part of this and revamping it and changing it to include the PACs and everybody else who was a part of it. Phenomenal program. The kids love it. They love it. They're learning. They're having fun. And isn't that what it's all about? So thank you.
I'll save my comments for the agenda items that are coming up.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been hopefully a quiet summer for most people, and I've spent most of my time with focusing on finances for the district and or being a part of negotiations, and it's been a very collaborative effort. I think that we're very fortunate for this district that we have such a collaborative relationship with both of our unions, and I hope that that continues. And then I share my joy because the one interaction that we did have with students this summer was the Find My Genius program, and that was just a lot of fun. The other song that they performed was Never Grow Up, and I think that ought to be my motto. So We do have some staff to introduce tonight, and this whole agenda is going to be a little bit of a fruit basket upset because we've got some new staff members that we're going to be voting in consent B, and then we'll be introducing everyone later. Dr. Stepp.
Sure, I can do my comments briefly, then we can get to consent A and B and maybe finish up with staff comm later on. We are super excited to have our students coming back. There's a photo from students at White Oak from last year. School starts August 24th. We have been super busy this entire summer. Getting it already. HR has been hiring a whole bunch of new folks, so many new folks that we need 2 buses for the world-famous bus tour. Next slide. And our student athletes are already back. There's a photo from Mr. Garrett Lepisto, I think is in the room. I sold a photo credit to Mr. Lepisto. Thank you very much. Girls volleyball at Agora getting ready. Student athletes are on campus working hard. Football has a scrimmage in 2-3 days against Westlake and Sherman Oaks. Next slide. Some of the specifics. Tomorrow, we have our new administrative boot camp, so some of the folks will be introduced tonight. Will be meeting with us tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. Get them up to speed on all things great and awesome about Las Virgenes. Team retreat, the leadership team retreats this Friday morning at Lupin Elementary, so be super excited to see the entire team together for the first time this summer. And we will have Sergeant Gvelik, our new J-Team Sergeant from Lost Hills, meeting with our entire leadership team on Friday as well. Mondays, our office managers. It gets really real when they are back and up to speed. And then next Thursday and Friday, a photo on the right-hand side there. You can see Dr. Finneran in the very front of the photo, the world-famous Las Virgenes bus tour. Next slide. First day of school, the 24th. September 9th, we have our first Superintendent Discussion Council meeting. That'll be right here on Friday the 9th. And then the 19th, the very first Superintendent Youth Council meeting. We will be looking for new freshmen from Agora and Calabasas to join the Youth Council. That is all my comments, Madam President. So we could go to consent and do some introductions after that.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve consent A?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Consent B, can I have a motion to approve consent B?
I move we approve consent B.
Second.
This is a board vote only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I do believe we now have some introductions.
They're all hired now. Yay!
You work with me. Madam President, members of the board, very excited to introduce 5 new administrators to the team this year, and we have pins for them as well. Madam President will share those. So we'll have each of them come up, and I'll introduce them. They will get a pin from Madam President, and then if they could, a few brief comments, and if they have family, we love to see family and get introduced to families. First up, Assistant Principal, A. Rhett Middle School, Denise Johnson. We understand that Dr. Roberts was so excited about this, he planned a party. Shortly afterwards, I think the board and cabinet are invited. He said something about he had us covered, right? Your shout, so to speak. Back to Ms. Johnson. 9 years experience as a school counselor at Simi Valley, where the counselors are also administrators. So as an administrator, she was building master scheduling, overseeing schools orientation, registration, supervising students, of course, and evaluating teachers. Also worked on restorative justice, discipline practices to support students, Bachelor's of Science in Psychology from CISA, Master's of Arts in Educational Leadership from CLU. Denise Johnson, new assistant principal for A. Wright Middle School.
Ms. Johnson, we are very excited to have you part of the LVUSD team, and A.E. Wright is a great school, and Dr. Roberts has been a fantastic principal. I hope you enjoy working with him, and don't be surprised or panicked if you see any of the board members on campus. We do like to visit our campuses and see them in action. We will give you a grace period and let you get your feet wet and get the mojo going with the new school year starting, but welcome to the district, and here is your pin.
Good evening, Madam President, Menges, Vice President Stein, and members of the board, Ms. Kupfel, Dr. Videra, and Mr. Lawrence. I'm so grateful for the opportunity, to be a part of the community at A.E. Wright Middle School and Las Virgenes Unified School District. I look forward to serving our students, families, staff members, and district in the years to come. I would also like to thank Dr. Stepanowski, Dr. Cyphers, Dr. Finneran, Dr. Gleason, and Dr. Roberts, and all of the members of the cabinet for allowing me this opportunity. I do have a 6-year-old, and unfortunately, my family couldn't be here tonight because he is meeting his first grade teacher. But they are here with me in spirit. Thank you so much.
And we'll do a photo with everybody and the board at the very end here. Of course, I forgot to mention that Ms. Johnson is also the biggest Philadelphia Eagles fan ever. Actually, second biggest after me.
I don't think that's
Was,
quite how
right?
she
I think
said
she said
that,
was.
but okay.
Was. She was raised appropriately with a Philadelphia Eagles background. New assistant principal at Calabasas High School, Miriam Worth and Tyler Lee. Let's get you both up here. Twofer. Miriam's background, she has held numerous leadership positions throughout Las Virgenes, including our Threat Prevention Task Force Chair, Secondary Discipline Task Force Leader, Restorative Practices, District Mental Health, Data Coordinator, Special Education Teacher, as well. 8 years experience as a school psychologist in Las Virgenes and Conejo, Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology from Messiah College, and Master's in Counseling specializing in school psychology with distinction from Northridge. Ms. Worth.
Ms. Worth. Welcome to the administrative team for Las Virgenes. You have done great things with this district, and we look forward to your role at Calabasas High School and continuing to do fantastic work with our students. Welcome aboard.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Stepanowski, and cabinet members, I couldn't be more thrilled to be here tonight and to return to Calabasas High in this new capacity. I'm really grateful to be stepping into the role on the new administrative team as assistant principal. Looking forward to serving students in a new way, to work with the Calabasas community, the families, and the staff.
Played a major role, inclusive nurse.
Thank you.
You're good.
So anyway, I'm very thrilled to be here, and I'd love to introduce my family.
Yes.
They're well behaved in the back. I'm sure you'll. So my husband,
Husband's very well behaved.
very well
Always-
behaved, always. So my husband Tanner, and my 2 sons, Carter is the 8-year-old, and Graham is 5. They are Las Virgenes students, so you may see them when you're on your site visits.
Where do they go to school?
Chaparral.
Oh, yay.
And so please let me know if they're doing what they should be doing when you're out and about. I told them I have spies everywhere.
Oh,
Every time we're at school, the students are doing exactly what they need to be doing.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah. So they're very, very excited, particularly for being part of all the sports at Calabasas. They're pumped.
oh, very exciting.
Yeah, so anyway, thank you so much for having me
Oh,
tonight.
look at that.
Awesome. And also joining Ms. Aviv at Team Calabasas is Tyler Lee. You know him, you love him. He's been here. We're so excited to have him back. He was social studies teacher and founding and head coach of the academic hackathon team at Calabasas High School. We did look this up, Mr. Lee, during the closed session. Your average margin of victory over Oak Park was 23,562 points. While at Calabasas, he was an exceptional advanced placement world history teacher, member of our curriculum council, Student 360 committee, textbook adoption, social studies lead teacher, got his admin credential from our very own center, edX, and his degrees are very impressive, a bachelor's in history from Cal Lutheran, master's in Holocaust studies with merit from the University of London, and currently working on his PhD at Gratz College in Holocaust and Genocide Studies. Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee, welcome back to Las Virgenes. We are so excited that you are going to be taking an AP role at Calabasas High School and spurring on that Academic team again.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Stepanowski, cabinet members, thank you for this opportunity. I'm really excited to be back. I've been working for a couple weeks now, and it feels like I'm back home. So thank you for this
Aw.
opportunity. I'm also excited to introduce my parents, Dawn and Kimberly, who are always there supporting me every step of the way. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Did he tell you a lot that he missed us over the last 2 years? Looks like Mom said yes. We missed him too, and we're so excited to have him back. Director of Elementary Education, Miss Jana Davenport. Jana, come on down. Jana comes to us with 18 years of teaching experience at Lauren Street Math Science Magnet and Balboa Gifted High Ability Magnet, both in LA Unified. Balboa Gifted Magnet is the highest performing elementary school in all of LA Unified. She was 7 years principal at Balboa Gifted Magnet, and the last 4 years she was founder and principal of Granada Hills Charter. And as founder and principal, she brought International Baccalaureate to, I think it's the early years program? PYP, right, primary years program, to her school. Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology from Go Bruins and Master's of Education from Go Bruins.
Ms. Davenport, we're very excited to have you join the Lvusd team and look forward to great works from you. You have a very impressive track record, and now you are going steady with the district.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, members of the cabinet, Dr. Stepanovsky. I just want to thank you very deeply for this opportunity to support and serve the elementary schools and their leaders for this esteemed district. I'm deeply grateful for it. I wish my family could be here tonight, but they are all right now at LAX, dropping off our middle daughter to moved to Houston for 3.5 years for her master's degree at Rice University.
Oh, great.
So we're excited for her, but other than that, they would have loved to be here. So thanks again.
And partner in crime, our other director of secondary education, Kim Patterson. Kim, come on down. Kim has a Bachelor's of Art in English Literature from University of Oregon, Master's of Art in Teaching Administration from Lewis and Clark, taught English language arts, and was intervention coordinator for a total of 6 years in high schools in Oregon, 9 years experience as a high school assistant principal. She served as principal of King School, which was a K-8 in Portland. Also served as principal at El Cajon Valley High School in Grossmont Union in San Diego County. And served as director of college and career readiness in the Oregon Department of Education for 2 years. And the last 2 years, she's been the Gear Up coordinator for LA Unified. Geared Up is a program that supports students' achievement and promotes early awareness and readiness for college and career. Kim Patterson.
On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome you to the district, Ms. Patterson, and you've already hit the ground running, and I think that we look forward to many pleasant interactions with you and all of the support that you're going to provide to our secondary students. And now you get to go steady with our district.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Stepanovsky, all of the cabinet members, and I see so many staff in this room that have given me such a warm welcome, so thank you for that. Thank you for all that you will teach me so that I can really stand beside you and serve the students and staff, and I am so excited to work with you.
All right, photo time. If the board could come on down and our 5 new administrators come on up, we'll get a little photo here. Mr. Klein's got his camera ready. Y'all are welcome to stay, but I know Dr. Roberts has parties planned, so we'll be there in about an hour, Dr. Roberts.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Where's Dr. Roberts? Dr. Roberts, we'll text you our orders.
Yes. I was gonna say,
Okay.
Could you share your cell phone? We'll text orders right now.
Thank you, everybody. We're very excited.
Yes.
Yay!
Next item?
What?
Oh, no, what did you say? I said, are we going to the agenda, or are we going back to?
Okay, the next part of our fruit basket upset is, I would like to begin the the information item revision to board policy and AR 5141.21, because we do have employees here for that.
We do, we wanted to push up an information item because we do have Nurse Melissa Foster here to present if the board has questions, so we can get that one out of the way. And then if the board, we do have staff comment if the board is interested and if we have time. So I think Ms. Hvac is presenting this agenda item.
Madam President, members of the board, tonight the district is proposing revisions to Board Policy 5141.21. This policy was last updated in 2014. The proposed changes are in alignment with the California School Boards Association. There are two proposed revisions to the current Lvusd board policy. The first is the administration of an anti-seizure medication covered under California Ed Code 49423. This Ed Code authorizes schools to stock epinephrine injectors known as EpiPens to be used in an emergency medical situations to persons suffering from an anaphylactic reaction. The second revision relates to California Ed Code 49414.3, which authorizes schools to administer an emergency opioid antagonist to persons believed to be suffering from an opioid overdose. Lvusd plans to use the nasal spray opioid antagonist. The nasal spray is a medication that works almost immediately to reverse an opiate overdose. It has few known adverse effects nor potential for abuse. Head nurse Melissa Foster is here tonight to answer any questions. Board Policy 5141.21 will be brought back to the next meeting with any changes requested for board approval.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I read this just out of interest. I didn't know we actually did this. I didn't know we were able to administer non-prescribed, non-parent approved medicine in cases of emergency. So I'm just kind of broadly, and I'm not opposing, I love learning new stuff. Broadly, just kind of interesting, how often does this happen? Has it happened recently? And this is exceptionally rare, right?
Right, especially for the Narcan, yes.
Yeah, okay. And I assume.
We've never, in my 17 years, we have never had a situation.
Okay, so it's that rare. Okay, that's all. Then I'll table the rest of my questions.
But school districts do this.
Do have this policy.
Have the policy in place to do.
Most of the surrounding districts around us have this policy in place already.
Right.
And staff is trained on this, or?
So staff will be trained
Right.
on a voluntary basis.
Right, okay, thank you.
It's a side question. Do you keep something like a glucagon in case you don't store insulin for someone and they have a?
No, because glucagon's not covered under any of the stock policies.
Okay. Interesting. This seems very straightforward to me.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for the clarity of presenting it, so thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
And we'll see it at the next board meeting. It's an action item, right?
I would just say, I don't think she needs to come to that one. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make it come to that. I think this is pretty.
I think
No,
it
we have
seems-
to approve the
No,
policy.
But I don't want to
No,
make,
but she
Yes,
does-
I don't want to make her have to come to the next
Dallas
one.
is saying.
Oh,
board-
no.
board
No, no,
seems
no.
fairly
Ford seems
consensus.
fairly, I want
Right.
to save you another trip for the next one. I think this is pretty straightforward. I appreciate you coming. Unless you want to come, love to see you,
Yeah.
but I also.
You are more than welcome to.
You may want to do something else with your evening.
Exactly.
That was not an
Thank you, Ms.
invitation.
Foster.
And thank you both for being proactive. I mean, saving students' lives and helping in an emergency situation is really, something we need to do. So this isn't fun to think about, but it's important, and thank you for keeping us current and on top of everything.
Madam President, we could slide staff communication in here if.
Absolutely, and I do want to comment that Dr. Vadera had texted me, and I missed it, that she was going to forego her comments because of the long agenda, but yes.
Super. Dr. Finneran.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, It feels like a little while since we've seen one another.
It has.
I do want to share with you that we've had a number of staff and students that have been learning all summer. Of course, we know that there have been plenty of vacations and breaks, and we're grateful for that. But I wanted to share a few numbers related to summer school and related to professional learning over the summer. So in terms of summer school, we had 206 students complete freshman seminar. We had 305 credit recovery courses completed. We had, that's at the high school level. Then for middle school, we worked with some students who were struggling in math. Their average increase from beginning to end of summer was 25 percentile points. And we had 110 ESY students. Those are our students who are served with IEPs in our special summer program. And then we had, I think, over 125 students in Find My Genius. So I wanted to share that with you. Also wanted to share and acknowledge our staff who learned and grew over the summer. We had some wonderful classes available to them over the summer. Really a great collaboration between our classified and our certificated leaders, in particular Ms. Chambers and Dr. Gleason. Dr. Gleason facilitated a coaching class that was well attended and well liked. We also had a social justice leadership class, for example, that was taught by Ms. Peoples, who's our new diversity, equity, inclusion TOSA. So that was exciting and a great way for her to build some staff capacity. And then lastly, we had a really well-attended class in Ruler, which is our social emotional wellness approach. And that was taught by two Willow teachers, Joy Jeremiahson and Stephanie Skidmore, also really well-attended and well-received. So wanted to highlight those. There were plenty of others, but just really appreciate all of our staff, the time they spent this summer learning, and those certainly we had some that continued to teach this summer. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Klein.
Madam President, members of the board, I have three quick things. First off, we are super proud of our student tech team this summer. They worked all throughout the month of July. They finished up actually a couple of days early, right at the end of July, repairing over 600 laptops for us over the summer. That's the biggest number we've ever accomplished as a team, and we're super proud of that group. They did an amazing job, led by Dave Fazio. He was a great teacher in charge to take care of that for us. Second thing, as you know, we have been looking at Lenovo for laptops for students. We did deploy 14-inch laptops to our high schools last year with Lenovo. We were very happy with them. And so this year in the fall, we intend to extend that to our third grade and sixth grade students. We are looking at Lenovo laptops. I actually received my first sample today, which means we're a little bit stressed out because we're getting pretty close to the start of the school year, but I got my first sample today. This is it. It is quite a bit thinner, a bit lighter. It's got much more durable borders. It's a really nice little machine. I'm happy to pass it down if you want to take a look at it, or we can just take a look at it afterwards. A nice little flip around touchscreen. Looking forward to getting these in kids' hands. And the last item that I have is I was lucky enough to be invited to Google's campus to take a look at what they're working on in the future of Google for Education. I'm under NDA, so I can't share a ton of it, but let's just say our teachers are going to be excited with some of the new practice sets and some of the things that Google is offering, some AI-driven tools that are really going to be very cool. They're like right around the corner. I'm super excited to see all of those. Google's campus is kind of a cool place. This is a shot of what it looks like. This is in Playa Vista. They actually took over the Spruce Goose hangar. That's what this is the Spruce Goose hangar, and all of that wood is the original wood from the hangar. They spent about 3 months restoring that so that they could make sure that the hangar maintained its integrity. And as you can see, the rest of the building on the inside is shaped like a cruise ship. So the entire building is like a giant cruise ship in the middle of the Spruce Goose hangar, which is a fascinating place to go. And I did get a shot of this thing on the wall, which really resonated with me. It says, if you're not doing some things that are crazy, then you're doing the wrong things. And I really appreciated that, and we're looking forward to doing some of the crazy things in the coming years.
Ms. Falk.
Madam President, members of the board, Pupil Services has had a busy summer. The district's two new program coordinators, Layla Jorns and Krista Marsilio, joined our team. We hired 3 school psychologists, 2 occupational therapists, and 6 new special ed teachers. We have 3 trainings scheduled for next week when special ed certificated staff return. On Tuesday, we have a new SPED staff training. Wednesday, we have our secondary SPED training, and Thursday, we have our elementary SPED training. We decided to do our fall trainings early this year so as to not pull teachers out of class. And finally, Brady Rosen, in her grant-funded role as coordinator of academic and behavioral interventions, held a training today for general ed teachers on classroom behavior management. There will be a second training tomorrow. The capacity was 60 general ed teachers. All slots were filled with a waiting list.
Nice.
Ms. Chambers.
Madam President, members of the board, I'm pleased to share that our inaugural Lvusd job fair that we hosted over the summer was a success. We were able to attract new applicants and have already hired both classified employees and substitute teachers who attended the job fair. I appreciate the support from our Lvusd staff in hosting booths and talking to potential candidates. Our plan is to host another job fair this fall so we can continue to hire qualified staff.
Fantastic.
And appearing in her very first staff comm, I believe, Ms. Patterson.
Madam President, members of the board, in my first few weeks, I've had the privilege of meeting all of the secondary principals and toured their sites. I've heard some of their goals, dreams, and expectations for their students and communities this year. Principal McClay took me on the ride of a lifetime on a cart around a very large school site, and it's just truly a privilege to join a community that cares so much about students and see the obvious investments in both staff and facilities. I'm very excited to serve here.
Thank you. Welcome.
Dr. Gleason, as our new risk manager, may want to look into these.
I was just about to say, ride of a lifetime. Check in on that.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride over there at Agora High School?
Absolutely.
Oh, Ms. Kupel and I've been on that. It's fun.
Madam President, members of the board, Center at X is coming out of a very busy summer, so we launched 2 cohorts in June of our early childhood certificate program, as well as our first ever June pass cohort. And then this August launched our first ever full pass cohort and 2 more cohorts of our early childhood permit program. All that, those programs have 15 districts represented within them, and not only benefit our students in terms of staffing, but also positively benefit our general fund. You might also remember, it seems like forever ago, but months back, we submitted a response to a competitive grant to be a regional leader and grant fund the ECE certificate program. We were notified that our score was of the award level, and so we will find out in the next couple days what that amount is, but good news is coming down the pike.
Okay.
Congratulations. Wow.
Dr. Cyphers.
Madam President, members of the board, tonight's staff is bringing forward to 2 tentative agreements, one with our representatives from Lvea, the other with Lvca. Talk more about the items when we get there and do many more thank yous when we get there to some of the leadership folks involved, but wanted to give you the names of everybody that came together to reach these 2 agreements. For Lvea, Jake Anderson, CTA, Ian Godburn, Lisa Hatfield, and Joanne Kress, who are here with us this evening. We're appreciative of that. Joan Magana and Christine Zaka for the district, Principal Eric Anhalt and Sarah Exner, Hallie Chambers, Clara Finneran, Ryan Gleason, and then switching to Lvca, big thanks to their team as well. For Lvca, Jan Gill, Elaine Gottfried-Ullman, Cornell Hampton, Kim Mina, Frank Sosa, and for the district, Julie Abbott, Hallie Chambers, Dr. Gleason, and Valerie Lethanian.
And that concludes staff communication.
Thank you very much. So if you're following along in the forever bouncing ball, we are now on action items. Did we want to move the bond forward, or do we want to follow the action items?
Yeah, let's do the bond
parents
project
here.
item first. We have staff here for it. We have some speakers for it.
So that would be,
So I'm going to take item number 6, approval of the 2022 bond project list first, so that we kind of know what we're looking at for.
that's not number 6. Number 6 is
Yes,
establishing the,
that is number 6.
Number 6
It was
is the-
redone.
oh, it's not
Reordered.
online. Okay.
It should be online. Isn't that number 6
Oh.
the new current one?
The online version says approval of resolution 1-22 is number 6.
Oh, they moved it.
Yes, they
Of
moved it
Number
there.
5.
Okay, never
They already moved it. Number
Okay.
5, approval of the 2022 bond project list,
So we'll start with 5, then do 6,
and then do 6.
and then go back to 1.
Yep,
Okay.
follow
And
the
you-
bouncing
you
ball.
get to keep track of that.
Madam President, members of the board, we have the bond project list before you. This is not a requirement. This is simply something that we've been doing in Las Virgenes to get a sense for it. We conducted a facilities needs assessment that identified in excess of $700 million worth of projects. And we have a good sense for what they are. We have staff who are, our teachers and our classified staff in the building, in our room with us here, who have also shared their concerns. Our schools are 60 years old, and they need work. And the facilities master plan charts that out for us. We know the ages of roofs, we know the ages of HVACs, we know the ages of water systems, those sorts of things. So detailed project list that is available, the facilities report is available on our website to anyone. Specific to this, a potential bond, which the board will consider next, we did outline the key elements for the various schools. That's often a question, what will my school get, what will my community get? Of course, bond funds can only be spent on capital projects. They cannot be spent on salaries, benefits, retirement, pensions, any of those things. All the funds stay local. They are under the direct purview and supervision of the Board of Education, of our staff, and of a citizens committee. We've had Measure E and Measure G committees who've been phenomenal. We've had great pillars in the community on those, overseeing and ensuring the delivery of those projects to our schools.
And just a reminder that while every campus is different and it has different needs, that even though when you have a child in one school, it seems as though they're going to be there a long time, the reality is we know you blink and they're moved on to another school. So it is important that our entire unified school district provides quality facilities for both our students and our staff to teach in, so that I sometimes talk to parents and they're like, well, I really care about this school, but in the end, you'll move through many, and it's important. We do our best for all students, so.
Yep. These projects, again, represent providing our students and our staff with quality, comfortable, safe classrooms at the end of the day. And you're going to see a large project list. These aren't things that will be done in 1 or 2 years. Of course, we want to manage expectations, right? This is really going to be a 30-year bond. Now, it won't take us 30 years, and of course, we will prioritize and meet with our staff and meet with our parents relative to the priority. But of course, the imminent safety issues, having 88 degrees, HVACs, roofs that are leaking, water pipes, those would be our priorities, ensuring our staff and students are in comfortable and safe classrooms. But again, this is a project list, and these won't be done, 1, 2, or 3 years if and when a bond passes. Dr. Gleason.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Stepp really framed this very well. I'm going to go to the next slide as we jump right in. So really, our board is so familiar with this through the committee work of finance and facilities committees, as well as pathways. The opportunity we have right now is educational excellence, to have cutting-edge learning spaces, to enhance safety and career technical education, and to ensure we have energy-efficient, environmentally sustainable facilities. As we go to the next slide, the reality is that many of our 16 schools were built more than 50 years ago, and they require significant repairs and upgrades. As an example, last year we had 170 classrooms with leaky roofs. We have portable classrooms that are more than 30 years old, way past life, and we have some portables that are condemned due to structural damage. We also have aging HVAC, which we'll show you pictures of. Next slide, please. So just a smattering of pictures. So here's some examples. We have really invested in ongoing and deferred maintenance to take care of the investments our community has made, and they're, in some cases, past end of life. Here's a patch at a playground. I believe this is at Chaparral. Next slide. You can see some of the impact of the leaky roofs and classrooms that are disrupting instruction and student learning. Next slide. More pictures just of the impact of those roofs and water falling in the classroom during instructional time. Next slide. And here, of course, that doesn't only affect the interior, but when rain hits, undoubtedly early morning, and that we'll be looking at flooded areas on our campuses and mitigating the impact of improper water flow. Next slide.
Looks like a river.
That was Round Meadow Elementary.
Here we see water entering the main entryway. And of course, not only are these impacts our ability to serve our community, but they also create significant safety risks that we have to be mindful of. As we continue on in our slide journey, we could, unfortunately, we have pictures upon pictures because the need is significant. 170 roofs, and that is because we have repaired and repaired and repaired to the point of we cannot repair some of our roofs anymore. They are failing.
Yes.
Our athletic spaces also, our cities do not have dedicated athletic spaces. So our community and our residents and our children use ours, which are happy to do. But I can tell you, our high schools are in use 7 days a week, really from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. or so. So we're happy to do that, but of course you can imagine the wear and tear of various community organizations and groups coming onto our facilities.
I do want to add, though, that we do charge groups facility use fees, so they do pay for that, which helps keep for the upkeep. But again, the wear and tear and the age of our facilities, and we all know, like with our home air conditioners, after 20 years, we're nursing them. I have one I'm nursing right now, and it's very expensive to replace them. And that, this district staff has done a great job, putting them together with some glue and some gum and whatever to hold them together and to work. But we've reached, a point of no return with many air conditionings in our schools.
And at the core of it is really quality, state-of-the-art student learning. And we need safe, comfortable classrooms for that. Here we have athletic spaces with some of our tracks peeling and starting to fail.
I'll have longer comments on the next agenda item, but I want to push back a little bit on that because I think we need to be really clear. While some of these things are going to be nicer, high quality, we are really addressing some bare bones table stakes issues that are dilapidated, unsafe, unfit for any student or staff to be teaching in. They should not be in a classroom that is 92 degrees. A teacher shouldn't have to teach in it, and a student shouldn't have to be in it. And sure as hell shouldn't happen in a community with the means that we have here. Exactly. So I want to make sure people who are listening at home, I'm a huge proponent of exceptional education opportunities, and we should have them. This bond doesn't even come close to the exceptional side of the list. The exceptional side of the list is the other $500 million in finding that we found that we're not touching. We are literally keeping the lights on and the roofs from leaking and buildings that have been condemned from having to have students and staff in them. People who don't recognize how bad the situation is, the red light is blinking on the dashboard of our facilities. So I just want to be very clear when we talk about these things. We like to talk about exceptional education. That's what we strive for. This is not funding gold-plated toilet seats.
No.
This is funding a student not having to move their desk during the rain because raindrops are falling on their test scores. So I think we all need to be really clear about that.
I mean, we have HVAC units on the roofs of buildings that don't look like, you can't imagine that that's what they're meant to be. They look like something sort of out of the Industrial Revolution and rusted and horrible and old, and of course, they're not cooling our classrooms appropriately.
And this bond is not to build anything new. This is strictly infrastructure, 60-year-old schools. And I will tell you, in areas that do not have bonds, that the community does not rally behind and pass bonds, the schools just continue to deteriorate. Yep. They age, and the students come in, and they move their desks when it's raining, and they have buckets, and they get by. And it's not pleasant for students, for teachers and staff. And in areas in California especially that are areas similar to ours, to get these types of upgrades and maintenance is really what it is. Mm-hmm. The community rallies behind and they pass bonds, period. Mm-hmm. We can give you the list of the different school districts and communities that do it, but in socioeconomic areas like ours, this is what they do. There's no money from Sacramento for $300 million worth of repairs. My next question to you, Dr. Gleason, now that you're in charge of this, we're looking at a $300 million bond, and the project list that's in front of us is for that. And again, the process has been very inclusive, stakeholders at our school sites, priority. This is priority. Is $300 million everything that we need in this district?
No, according to our facilities master plan, we have well over 600 million in projects. So this is, to Mr. Lawrence's point, this is putting the roofs, the air conditioning, the basics on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs to make sure our classrooms can continue to serve students in safe and healthy ways.
And so when the board and the district really looked at, thank you for that, at bond measure, we are also looking at the top most significant needs in our district, and with the threshold of what will the community support. So the community will not support 600 million. So we're going out really as an emergency to fund these things now. There is no agency person coming to the rescue. Sacramento is not there for us. So thank you for that. I just had to say my piece.
To Ms. Cuppel, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Cuppel.
No, I was just agreeing.
Ms. Cuppel mentioned the HVAC systems, and we have some pictures of this. If we go to the next slide. I mean, this belongs in a museum, not on top of a school campus. It's 60-plus years old at Sumac, and we've talked in here. I'm looking at Mr. Bowman in the back, and the H building at CHS is just another example. These have been nursed and nursed and nursed. They are failing, and when the hot weather hits, it impacts learning. Next slide shows some more images of this. So you can see a system that is decades beyond end of life that we've nursed, and it's just not continuing on.
I passed this out at a Sumac meeting with parents, and no one knew what it was. And I only knew because I've been told that cools off classrooms. What a surprise, it doesn't really do it very well.
And also, not only are they failing, but it's almost impossible to find replacement parts for what does fail.
We have had to hand engineer replacement parts because they don't exist anymore. And HVAC technicians that understand how to work on systems like this and do that are few and far between.
And for
That's a
the people?
simple way of saying it.
Oh.
Yes.
Wait, watch out. I also,
Yes.
okay,
It
fine.
works.
So I also want to say, I appreciate the photos, because for those watching at home and for transparency to have the photos, but those of us, cabinet here, every single person on cabinet, every single board member, we've been at schools, we've been in these classrooms, we've seen these, we've talked to teachers, we've talked to students. This is a need. Students spend many, many hours a day in these classrooms. This is what these teachers do for a profession. They are professionals, and they need classrooms that are temperature controlled, that are comfortable to work in, to teach in, and for students as well. Okay, I'm off.
It was mentioned Industrial Revolution. When I close my eyes and picture Industrial Revolution, it's the next slide. So just another picture of our HVAC systems, just really. So this is where, and here's the example of one of our failing roofs. I believe this is at Round Meadow. So it's the roofs, it's the AC units, it's the making sure that the basics are in place so kids can continue to learn. As we go to what's unique about the structure of this measure, provided that if the board approves it tonight, is it will not extend our current tax rates. So the same $36.77 per $100,000 of assessed value will just continue on as Measure R expires. This will generate approximately $340 million without increasing the tax rate. So we are asking the community to sustain their existing tax rates, to have dramatic changes in some of the basics for our kids. Again, all goes to facilities, and we'll talk about the controls that are in place for bonds like this. Yeah.
Dr. Gleason, I do want to repeat one thing you said. Measure R, I believe, is sunsetting. It is rolling off the tax roll. By the time, if this passes, that it would hit my tax bill, R would be off. So when you talk about tax neutral, no tax rate increase, that's what you're talking about. I want to make that perfectly clear. Does a lien go on your house with this?
No.
Okay, perfectly clear out there. A lien does not go on your home.
That's right. And also, I've heard the comment, well, we've had bond measures. Well, yes, I mean, I got new AC unit 15 years ago. Guess what? I needed it again. And, you know, roofs need constant repair. Schools need constant upgrade. We know the kind of time and effort that goes into our homes. And, you know, we cannot, as a community, fall behind. We owe this to our kids.
And the state doesn't provide any funding for facilities.
All facilities funding is through a competitive grant application, and in many cases, the way that grant is scored and awarded, we're at a disadvantage given the community we're in. So this is essential, and as with our sunsetting, G is also at end of life. Any ongoing capital improvement projects in the absence of this bond will encroach on the general fund in big ways.
And so when you say encroach on the general fund, because that was going to be my next question, about 90% of our budget goes to people. So when you say that, and if we get to a tipping point, which we're at, and we now have to start pulling money out of the general fund to replace the AC in the H building, which is $7-8 million alone, that's going to be raising class sizes, right? Laying off teachers. I mean, how are we going to do that if 90% of our budget goes to people?
Candidly, it's impossible. It's schools are funded for year-to-year costs, personnel, curriculum, supplies serving the year-to-year needs. Capital improvement projects require the community to rally together around bonds such as this.
And I just want to say, you know, I mean, I've mentioned before my grandmother who helped raise me. She started her teaching career in 1932 in a one-room schoolhouse. And I've seen a lot of the pictures over the years of, you know, the one-room schoolhouse and the class out front. And, you know, these are poor farmers, rural people. But we had conversations about those various schools she taught in before she later moved into town. And she said there was always the highest priority in the community, even among the poor rural people, to make sure that the schoolhouse was the absolute best it could be, that the environment for the teacher and the kids, like they wouldn't have let a roof go leaky like this long. Like the community cared and rallied and understood that the education and the quality of that environment was central to everything in their community and to those kids' futures. So we can do no less.
Thank you for that. I mean, that's really good. And the bottom line is, you know, when you go out and our cities do surveys from time to time, and the district does surveys from time to time and polling, overwhelmingly people move to this community for the schools. There's no real industry. Las Virgenes is the largest employer out here. They move here for the quality of the schools, the high quality. And this is an investment in our community to keep our schools excellent. And it affects our property values directly. During the Great Recession, the homes in the Las Virgenes community did not suffer like other areas. Our schools, people still want it. There is a very small inventory of home for sale here. People want in. They're not going to my door to buy my house. I'm not moving. So that's, you know, it's an investment. This is an investment to keep our community strong.
Should,
Oh, did you want to say that?
no, I was just going to say, the big enchilada is the next one, so I'm ready to motion to support this and move on to the next item if you'd like to.
Well, why don't
Are we ready?
Why don't you finish your presentation and then we'll move forward.
Okay.
Absolutely. So moving on to the next slide. You know, just I want to underscore everything we've said, everything the board has shared tonight. It's we've shared pictures of the above ground needs, below ground needs in terms of gas lines, electrical systems. We are constantly patching together on our campuses. Saying classrooms temperatures reach above 85 degrees. And at that temperature, it is very hard to teach and certainly almost impossible to learn. Also, removing any hazardous waste because our campuses are more than 50 years old. Next slide. And of course, you know, as we talk about upgrading our classrooms, making sure that our labs and our engineering technology spaces are able to serve the needs of students in 2022. Moving forward. Safety and campus security, not only for the modern-day safety threats to community and schools that we've had many conversations about, but just even making sure our buildings are up to code, are up to ADA and students accessibility for students with disabilities, making sure we're earthquake safe in earthquake country, and that our buildings are retrofit to help ensure have that infrastructure in place. Moving forward. One thing for the community that might be watching tonight, there are fiscal accountability protections for any bond campaign. So detailed project lists indicates the pod projects that we're presenting tonight are the projects that may be funded by the measure. But if the bond passes, if the board approves putting this on the ballot and it passes, there's a citizen oversight committee that independently audits and we regularly report to with the review of the use of funds. It can only be used for capital facility projects, not salaries, not pensions. And of course, public disclosure of all spending is required and thoroughly audited. Next slide. And of course, we always, there's a long reputation for Las Virgenes of taking care of those that invest in our community, our parents, our families, our homeowners. So the funds are locally controlled. They stay local for our students and our schools. And whenever possible, we submit applications for state reimbursement. I mentioned the state grant program. We did that as an example with the Lupin Hill NPR. He saw and received a grant for that, and we continue to do that every time. We always will swing for the fences for funding, and if ever bonds need to be refinanced for a better interest rate for our community, we take that very seriously to be good stewards of the faith our community puts on us.
In fact, we have refinanced this board has refinanced 4 times to save over $11 million for our residents.
We all know this up here. This is one of the most important things for Las Virgenes in our history. It's a moment of critical importance to get our facilities up to speed because our staff deserve it, and most certainly our students deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 6, approval of resolution number 1-22, ordering an election and establishing specifications of election order.
Madam President, members of the board, we do have our bond counsel with us also on Zoom, David Kaznoka. He's been our bond counsel for way beyond my 17 years in the district. He helped author this resolution. He's done it for us in the past. His knowledge is extremely expansive and invaluable to us in this matter. So he's here available if any of the board members have questions. As we just shared the why in the last agenda item, and thank you for approval of that. That is the why. Of course, the why is our students and our staff. Our cities conduct surveys continuously about why people move to the area, and the schools, Las Virgenes, is always the number one reason. Dr. Gleason.
Madam President, members of the board, this resolution brought before you tonight would put the aforementioned bond on the November ballot. And you can see the language outlined in the agenda item, as previously stated, but worth underscoring. This item has been thoroughly discussed, vetted, and with both our bond counsel, but in terms of the language to represent the needs of the community with our board committees.
I have a tactical question and just a broader comment. I'm still disappointed that we have buried the tax neutral component of this in line number 9 of this, like the end of the statement. The average person does not read that much. We talked about this with the campaign team last time. I strongly asked that we could try to put the revenue neutral component that's like word number 100 as word number 4 or 5, so someone catches it. I don't want to wordsmith a bond in language at a board meeting, but I think that's a miss. And I think the most important fact of this for a voter who's those who are already voting for it aren't reading the ballot measure. They're already for it. They're coming in, pulling a lever. those who are interested, the number one thing they want to know is, it going to raise my taxes? And they have to do a lot of reading to get to that point for an average human. And I think it was a miss not to put that in like the first couple words.
Well, it's emboldened, which we're allowed to do.
I know.
Dr. Stepanowski, is Mr. Heath still around that we can ask him? This is, he's this.
There
the
was a
str-
reason for it.
Right, he's the strategic person behind all this, right? The ordering of it, or is it Mr.?
I think this is
Casanova?
a David Casanova question.
Okay.
David, are you able to answer that question for us, or I think we discussed this with you?
David, you need to unmute.
He's still muted.
Can we unmute him?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, David. Thank you.
Okay, so the answer to the question is that the ballot question is a 75-word statement, a single sentence that has to begin with a capital project that's among the purposes of the measure. We can't start a ballot question with a phrase, without increasing current tax rates. We have to start with a capital project because that's the purpose of a general obligation bond. And so we start with the capital projects. That's the way we require that it be done without exception. And I think that the cost of the measure is adequately disclosed, and the fact that we've emboldened the without increasing current tax rates was intended to draw the reader's attention quickly to that cornerstone financial element of the bond program. But we would have not have permitted you to start the measure with that phrase or any phrase other than a capital project.
So it has to come that far down in the bottom third of it?
The bottom third of it, as you described, contains all of the financial requirements of the measure, the par amount of the bonds, the maximum interest rate that the bonds can have, the amount of the annual levy, the amount of the annual collections, the term of the levy, and then we've added electively the politically supportive phrase without increasing current tax rates. So to me, it fits within the genre of financial consequences of the measure, all set forth in the same cluster of words.
It jumps out at me. I mean, so, because it's emboldened, which is, I think, makes the difference, which we didn't have last time.
And we definitely want to be legal. So I think that we keep it like this. I also want to make one thing very clear. I don't know if this is the time, but the board does not levy a tax. So when we move this forward, we are not taxing property owners. We are asking the voters if they want to tax themselves to improve their schools.
So, Mr. Lawrence, I think we agree with you.
Yes.
And we did explore this. In fact, we also explored underlining it as well. And I believe bond counsel, we weren't allowed to do that as well. So it is the most important statement in the language.
Yeah, we're with you. We tried to do it too.
I do have some public comment forms that are for the bond measure. Does anybody else have any questions that they want to ask first before? And I'll call up Ms. Tara Maynard first.
Hi. Thank you for letting me speak. It's good to see all of you. For those of you who don't know me, I have lived in Agoura Hills for 14 years. I'm the current PFC president of Lindero Canyon Middle School, previous president of Willow's PFC, and I have 3 daughters in Lvusd, one going into Agoura High School, one at Lindero, and one at Willow. And I just want to say one of the reasons my family and I moved here is for the school district, and I'm so glad that you voted to put this bond measure on the ballot, because I think it's so important to keep our school districts up to the standard that our community is used to, and to see those pictures of what the roofs look like and our plumbing issues, it's really kind of shocking as a parent to see that, to be honest. And I just want to get that remedied as quickly as possible. Even if you don't have kids currently in the district, I think everyone can agree that it's really important to invest in our future. And I'm just really glad it's going on the ballot. I'm going to do my best with my co-chair. Amanda Poulos and I are going to be chairing the campaign, and our committee is called Citizens for Lvusd, and we'll be reaching out to the community to get some support for this bond measure. So you'll be seeing a lot of us. So thank you so much for putting this on the ballot. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ms. Amanda Poulos?
Good evening, I'm Amanda Poulos. I'm a 10-year resident. I have two monsters, boys. One going to 3rd grade at Willow and one is 7th grade at Lindero. I've been on the Willow PFA for 6 years, and I am co-president with Tara at Lindero, and I am currently the campaign co-chair. And what I love about this community, like everybody else, is that sense of small town, that sense of community, that we know our neighbors. And with that comes the talk. And the talk is about our aging structures, and I'd like to think that most people know that it's no fault of the district, but it's happening, and we need to fix it. And this is the only way I could see it happening, so I wanted to be involved rather than just talking about it. And so I'm here to do that with Tara and with our community that we know will back us. I'm confident with the guidance that we're given this time around. I agree with Dallas about previous consultants, but I'm confident, and I know Tara and I can rally the troops, get it done, and hopefully no longer see mystery stains on the ceiling. So thank you for putting it on the ballot.
Thanks.
Thank you, Amanda.
And Mr. Adam MacArthur?
Madam President, members of the board, for those who don't know me, my name's Adam MacArthur. I've lived in the district for 14 years. I am currently the co-president of the Agora Lacrosse Boosters Club. I am the former treasurer for the Willow PFA, and I'm also a member of the Measure E Oversight Committee. And I think it's important for me to start out by saying I am historically very anti-bond, which is why I became a member of the Oversight Committee, which was very eye-opening to me. I'm a former big firm accountant, a partner at one of the top 10 accounting firms in the country, so I understand financial statements. And when I saw that level of funding and the lower level of our funding compared to other districts, I was appalled. And so as somebody who is typically anti-bond measure, I encourage all the parents and the people that are anti-bond measure to really understand the funding and why our district needs this money. It's critical for us to survive as a district. It supports all of our home values. And so I really want to just get that out there, and I'm not going to iterate what everyone else said. So thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions?
I would like to share some thoughts, because I think, if I could, because I think there are a couple issues that are just coming to head at this meeting that are, to a casual observer, may seem to be counter to one another or confusing, and I think it's important for us to set a pretty clear tone. So if you'll beg forgiveness, I have just a couple thoughts I wanted to put out there, because I think it's important that we launch this very clearly in this community with some of the rumblings of misinformation that have me a little concerned about the trajectory of this, where it's going. So I do have a number of thoughts, and I think I want to talk about two items that we're discussing today. One, obviously, this bond measure, and then an item that's coming up a little bit later, which is our new teacher contract. And I thought about these two items as they're coming here today, granting a pay increase to our teachers and staff, and requesting that our community continue to support our school facility needs with a tax-neutral bond initiative. And I realize there could be some confusion, as these two issues might appear to be counter to one another. If the state's giving us all these new funds and we can afford to give a pay raise in the same meeting, and we're going out asking for support to fix hundreds of leaky roofs, why can't the district just fund these needs internally? At the same time, I've started to hear from folks in our community some pushback They read an Acorn article, an editorial, that we're flush with cash from the state of California, that it's the biggest bonanza we ever had, and so why can't we fund these needs with the one-time Goodyear money we have from the state of California? And so, as I sat down to think about what I wanted to share today, I really was coming at this from the perspective of a lifelong fiscal conservative who almost always votes against every single tax increase the state of California puts forward, because frankly, I have no trust in Sacramento and how they fund anything. And so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking there's probably a lot of folks who have a knee-jerk reaction to any tax initiative to just say no, because they have that concern about how the state of California looks. And this is why I think it's important to spend a few minutes really addressing the specifics of each of the items we're talking about today and differentiating why they're very different. First, for me, as the item before us now, as it's been said, the state of California offers absolutely $0 for us for facilities improvements. They believe inherently that these local needs are to be funded by our community, and that our community should set those priorities and then hold their local leaders accountable. We have just done that before this meeting, before this item. We have set those priorities through a consultative process at every campus with parents and community leaders. We have voted on them and we have put them forward, and we will have an independent commission who holds us accountable. At the same time, California recognizes that a school district like ours, we're blessed to be in one of the most prosperous communities in the state, if not the country. And there is an expectation that our community will fund our facilities needs. Time and again, our community has recognized the needs of exceptional schools, the value of having exceptional schools. There is a reason why homes in Westlake Village sell for more, that are in Lvusd, sell for more than homes in North Ranch. It's not because there's better restaurants in North Ranch. It's not because of anything else. It's because the school district. There is an inherent value to our schools. I think that value of great schools runs deep in our community. What I also thought was important about this bond is it will not raise our tax dollars $1. And what was really amazing about that is we did not adjust that for inflation or time. That is real dollars from a quarter century ago. We are asking the community to extend a bond at the same rate they voted on a quarter century ago, with no tax increase to the community. In real dollars, this is significantly less than the community a generation ago rogered up to make sure our schools were safe, secure, and high quality. But this board, and I agree with it, felt that this was the right amount to come to this community for at this time. The second item I wanted to address was just how overall funding works, because people are saying, well, you have all this new funding. I read it in the Acorn. I think it's frankly criminal the way Sacramento funds our local schools. We get less than 50% per student of school districts in our reading area per student. That is real money. That is tens of millions of dollars that could go to our schools. We don't get it. We're not mismanaging funds. We haven't mismanaged our way into a fiscal crisis. We just don't get that money from the state of California. And they're never going to change that. That's just a reality that we have to deal with. The final thing I wanted to share about this bond is the actual needs of the facilities we face today. And I raised this before to Mr. Gleason. I think it's just important to hit again. As everyone here has had kids in our schools, everyone has dealt with schools that haven't had AC or have had leaky roofs. This is really almost embarrassing to me as a school board member that we have this state of affairs in our school districts. It's embarrassing that we have a water polo team that can't play on its own campus because their facilities don't meet state guidelines in a community like ours. This is not why people move to this community. And I think that the money that we're bringing forward, the amount that we're asking for, is more than appropriate and more than respectable for our community. I want to address the second point now, and that's the conversation that's being happening around the bond. I appreciate an informed debate and open discussions about any tax issue or bonds or political items that are coming before voters, and I think I'm hopeful the board will be voting yes on this today. But I do not appreciate misinformation. The facts on this are exceptionally clear. This bond is revenue neutral. Anybody who says it's raising taxes is lying. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Not a single additional tax dollar is being raised on someone's current tax bill. It'll be revenue neutral for them from a bill that was passed a quarter century ago. Second, I think it's important to reiterate that every single dollar stays local. Not $1 just goes to Sacramento to play their shell game where it's washed and repopulated to other issues. It is going to the list of items we put forward and will be overseen by an independent accountability board. These are our community's priorities, and these are our community schools, and these are our community's children. And I believe the community will stand behind this bond. So I will be voting yes today and in November, and I would encourage everyone else, regardless of if you have children in the district, to do the same as well. In closing, I want to pivot now to the second topic, because I've started to hear this from folks, and this is discussing the pay raise we might be discussing in a few minutes for all of our staff. All I can say is thank God we're able to do that this year. We will be voting on an 8% ongoing raise for our staff, after receiving almost 13% from the state of California. I'd like to put this into perspective for those who are thinking that we're now flush with cash and we could be funding and facilitating $26 million in electricity. Consider the environment we're in today. As of this month, inflation is at 9% annually for this year. That means with this 8% ongoing funding that we're going to give to teacher, staff, and administrators, they are still taking a step back annually in their annual economic buying power in this community. While the number may be larger than we're used to seeing because the state has leaned in to provide more designed to the targeted classroom, this is not some boom that we're having and we're spending money willy-nilly that could have been spent on other options. This is money spent to keep a baseline of support for our teachers and staff and administrators. It's also being spent to close a gap. Lvusd is historically well below where we should be in our funding. We're bottom 50% in how we fund our teachers and staff. Starting teachers will still only make $57,000 a year in this community after we raise 8% in ongoing funds. You cannot live in this community on that money. So I would ask folks who are looking at these two issues today to recognize while they're happening on the same board meeting and we're discussing them, they are incredibly different. They are funded incredibly differently. The way we are allowed to fund them are very differently, and the needs are very different. And I would really encourage folks who are leaning into conversations about the bond to read what we voted on today. School boards cannot just willy-nilly pass bond measures and say whatever they want. It has to go through legal counsel. Every dollar is staying local. Not one new dollar in taxes are being raised. Liens will not be going on properties. This is a black and white issue. Our kids need to be in schools that are safe, and that's why we need to support this. Sorry, I went a longer, but
That's okay. Thank you very much. We also have some teachers in the audience. Is there any faculty member that might want to address the bond that we're considering?
Ms. Miller, on behalf of Lvea, is coming forward.
I'm going to bring a few people up.
Yes.
Absolutely. And just,
We have a very short agenda today.
just state your name for the minutes. Thanks.
Sure. Hi, Darcy Miller. For those of you that don't know me, I teach at 8 Rate Middle School, and I'm also the Los Virgenes Educators Association president. And with me today, I have, sorry, I'll talk into the microphone, Brad Bowman, Mr. Brad Bowman from Calabasas High School, who works in the dreaded H building that you hear a lot about. And we have Mrs. Joanne Kress from White Oak Elementary School. And so we just wanted to come today. We have all levels, middle school, high school, and elementary, to show our support and appreciation for the board, hopefully voting yes and moving forward with the bond. Our facilities need improvement for our educators and for our students. And we really appreciate you taking this as a top priority, and we understand how many hours you put into this, as well as the oversight committee in the back. Thank you so much for dedicating so many long hours, tired long hours over the summer. Lvea strongly supports this bond, and we are here to tell you that we will do everything in our power to get out the vote, to express our gratitude for the community that will hopefully do the right thing and vote yes in November. If the board does authorize this, we just want to make sure that you know and the community knows that we're here to support you in everything that you can do. I don't know if you have any questions for middle school, elementary, or high school with the H building.
Love to hear from a teacher in the H building.
Sure. I'm sure he'd love to say something.
Not to piggyback too much, but I think, because I teach AP government, and so given that we can bring forth the bond measure and show that democratic institutions can be effective, and I've said for years that local government can be the most effective, but to see the community and to see all partners engage, I'm very happy to see, and I know Sean spent a lot of time in the H building too. It's difficult to learn, it's difficult to teach, and I know we appreciate the work that the district has done and the board has done to help our students and help our staff, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kress.
I teach the other end of the spectrum. I teach kindergartners. And many of you have been in kindergarten classrooms all over the district. And there's the job chart, who leads the pledge and who takes out the trash and who's the line leader. It's a good one. One of the jobs in my classroom 2 years ago when it rained, do you remember all that rain we had? One of the jobs in my classroom was making sure the trash cans were perfectly placed where we knew it was going to leak the next day, in case there was rain in the forecast.
That breaks my heart.
And the 5-year-olds are really good at it. They remember, like, if I take my seat and I go one step over,
Yeah.
and that breaks my heart.
And they shouldn't have to
They
know that.
shouldn't have to do that when it's raining, and they should be able to come into a classroom after recess that is cooler than it is outside.
Yes, 100%.
So that's where I'm coming from as a kindergarten teacher, and to echo what Ms. Miller said, teachers will do everything we can to get out the vote, and we appreciate your support in making our classrooms safe for our staff and our students.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
Are we ready for the
I'll make a
vote?
motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
In your hands.
And student support will be, this will be a chance for students to get involved in a campaign that will really make a difference. Often what we do makes a difference for a moment, for now, for a couple of people. This is the kind of lasting impact so we'll appreciate that help. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So shall we continue to follow the bouncing ball?
We did have our financial advisor, Mr. Carty, arrive, so maybe he could come on down to the podium, and we appreciate him coming up here for a long drive, and he got here towards the end, and we were moving quickly and purposefully, with passion, which is exciting, and on behalf of the staff and students, I do want to thank the board for their vote this evening, and we're excited. There's much work ahead, and we understand that, but we also know that we've got the community behind us. Mr. Carty?
No, sure. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. I'm Tim Carty, your longtime financial advisor. Sorry for being a little bit late.
That's
but
okay.
We're, I think I've had the opportunity in the past to explain the bond measure which you've approved, and we'll be working with Dan and Ryan and the entire team from here till Election Day to be helpful, and then hopefully see a lot of you after Election Day and work to deliver the bond funds for all of these needed projects, including the leaking roofs, over the years. So thank you for letting me be here, and have a great rest of the meeting.
And we can, with you at the microphone, we can fact check one thing. Lvusd just has refinanced how many times and saved the residents?
I actually have that in my notes because I know that has been a question which board members have asked before, so let me respond to that.
And for the community, Mr. Carty is the genius who keeps us honest.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, but I do think it's important for the community to know that your board has been very vigilant over the years. Interest rates go up and down, but whenever they've been at low levels, you've taken the opportunity to refinance old bonds and save money for the local community. So we've refinanced 4 times over the years and saved about $11.1 million. That's taxes that the community would have paid to go to out-of-town investors that stayed locally. So, and this bond measure which you've approved, any bonds that we draw will have the ability to be refinanced into the future.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
And we know that if the voters approve this, that Mr. Carty would keep us honest and aggressive in continued savings for our community.
Oh, yes, we keep our eye on the movement of interest rates. We have a database of all of our old bonds, the interest rates that they carry, and we'll bring to your attention any future opportunities if they present themselves.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I've also noticed that Bond Counsel, Mr. Kasnoka, has unmuted. Was there anything else you wanted to add? David?
No, I'm good. Congratulations. And
Thanks.
I'll be providing the district with some updated materials regarding the do's and don'ts, how the district can spend public funds during the campaign so that you don't run the risk of violating the laws that limit the amount of advocacy that can be funded from public monies.
Thank you very much.
All right, now the work begins.
Yes.
Sorry, I know we've been working hard this summer. My whole team looked very tired when I said. So speaking, I think, Madam President, we're following the bouncing ball. In this case, it's a football. So Dr. Seifers is in charge of athletic program. Maybe he had a few words here, but we have some student athletes in the room, and we're excited to spend a few minutes with them.
If we could kindly ask both our players from Agora High School and Calabasas High School to come up to the podium. We would love to hear from each player. If you could share your name, maybe the position you play on the team, and maybe whoever goes last can introduce their head coach as well. Go ahead, we'll go alphabetical order, so go ahead, Agora.
Hello, Madam President and members of the board. My name is Ty Diefenbach. I play quarterback at Agora. I'm going to be a senior.
My name is Lucas Jansen. I play linebacker and receiver at Agora, and I'm going to be a senior this year as well.
My name's Calvin Cummings. I'm a senior. I play left tackle, DN, and middle linebacker. This is my head coach, Dustin Croy.
Hi, all. Thank you for having us. We're really excited for the season. It's great to be here. These kids have all worked hard. It's going to be a fun season. We get to play these guys, and hope you guys can all make it out to a game this year. And thank you for passing that bond. We'll do our part as well. Thank you.
And a few notes before we start with Calabasas. We have Coach Croik went to Agora High School and graduated and is ranked number 2 in all-time touchdown passes.
Number 2 now, yeah.
Number 2 now, because someone else in the room passed his record. So congratulations to Ty Diefenbach. He holds the record for touchdowns from Agora High School. And you may have seen Ty Diefenbach in the front page of the sports section of the LA Times today.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
I appreciate you mentioning that, too. Thank you. That made me feel better about myself.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Stepanowski, and members of the cabinet, we're super excited for the football season. My name is Sean Stepanowski. I'm the kicker. I am related to someone up here, and we're going to give you all a football schedule, and we have some swag for you guys as well for when you come to the games. We appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Mekhi Hayes. I'm a senior at Calabasas High School. I'm the starting linebacker and offensive line.
Madam President, Dr. Stefanowski, members of the board. My name is Jackson Neff. I play offensive line. Right now I'm at guard. We're looking for a super excited season. Super happy to be here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Coach Kerry Harris, head coach at Calabasas High School. It's good to be here. Thank you guys for all the continued support each and every day. Look forward to our first game coming up next Friday. Thank you.
And Coach Harris, could you give us a date of your home opener?
Home opener?
In case we want to come check it
Yeah,
out.
September 18th at home against Santa Monica. Have a scrimmage this Friday against Notre Dame.
Okay. And Coach Croik?
We are at home next Friday against Lompoc, and then we brought a schedule for you guys, too, to put up. So you can see all of our home games, away games, and when we play Calabasas.
Your principals and APs usually let the board know when games are, both home and away. And just know the board loves to come out to games. We do. We're big supporters, and we're very excited for a new season.
We'd love to have all you guys. Thank you.
Excuse me, the first game is August 19th next week.
I was going to say, it's a long time before the first home game.
I think they have gear. So come on, guys, come on up and you hand off some gear, and then we'll take a picture with both teams.
Okay, fun.
Yeah, let's just go down there.
Thank you so much. Whoa, fun. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, cool.
VIP laminate.
Dr. Seifers, will you make sure that we get an email of the schedule? Thank you, sir.
Who you looking for?
Yes, of course.
Wow.
We love swag. We never get swag.
Oh, that's great. We are so excited.
How many of you are going to be over 18 in November and can vote?
Dr.
You gotta
Seifers,
go for that bond.
email schedule.
Get that bond out there.
Okay. We got it. Yeah, come on, get in there, coaches. Yeah, I'm gonna get one. season. Thank you so much. Hopefully you both come in first place. Great. Yay, right? That's fun, enjoy. So you're enjoy. Last year, no senioritis. I have one who had senioritis. I was at age double, so no, yeah. The family good? You too. Thank you for coming out, guys. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for bringing the guys out. Yeah, we appreciate it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Mine graduated 65.
One she kissed, it wasn't just random.
I did. Yes, he looks like you guys. Oh my God,
I got the, from I think it's going to be out from
Yes. What did you say? We're coming. We're coming.
Okay.
Keep going.
I have number one.
I don't even know what it is. What are we on?
Number
Yeah,
one.
we're back to number one. And now I think we've stopped bouncing the ball around and we're going to go from one through. So,
45-day budget revise.
yes. And I believe Dr.
Dr. Gleason.
Stepnowski is,
Dr. Gleason.
is saying goodbye to our football teams. So, Dr. Gleason, are you?
Okay, I'm getting ice.
Madam President, members of the board, just Mr. Klein is pulling up the slide deck. While he is, we've had some transition in the business department. And I say that to say that every member of the staff that is here has stepped up to keep our strong systems in place and to bring our presentation before you tonight. So I just want to honor and acknowledge their hard work as we not only worked on this, but also still are closing out the books and working on our unaudited actuals, which will come to the board in a couple weeks. So next slide. Mr. Klein, is it easier? Do you have a clicker? Is that easier for me to go? Okay. So, thank you, sir. I just want to save you from having to, yeah, that'll work. So, as has been shared, this is an extraordinary season of the California state budgeting because there is some one-time revenues right now on the state level that have good news in the present, but we also need to temper that news from what we might see in headlines as well as what we might be facing in the years ahead. And our job as a district in a 45-day revise is to always project out 3 years. So as we look out ahead, two things that are giving us pause right now is that consumer confidence is going down and inflationary pressure is going up. And so with that, along with the states, those state revenues being so dependent on the top 1% of income earners, our budget is really built on that foundation. And seeing that capital gains as a share of personal income is on the decline, we're looking at an uncertain future with our budget. Additionally, the geopolitical instability, we still are facing supply chain shortages, and those inflationary pressures are affecting most aspects of the market. And as we look 3 years out, and knowing that many of our programs right now are funded on one-time money from post-COVID, we need to be smart and strategic in working with our finance committee as well as the entire board in looking out ahead. Our funding mechanism, of course, is the local control funding formula. The local control funding formula provides a base grant for all students, but then provides supplemental and concentration grants for students who are low income, foster youth, or English learners. Across the state, the average population of students who are unduplicated and meet that are 65%. Our district is about 17%. So in terms of this funding formula, it is not advantageous to districts like Las Virgenes. So you can't compare districts like ours to those around us. As the governor and legislature went back and forth throughout the month of June on this budget, they had to determine with the current windfall of funding, how to best position it, what they could contribute to ongoing funding and increasing the ongoing funding, especially in the context of the Consumer Price Index and where it's at, and then what could be one-time funding. And so this pie chart really outlines that roughly a third of it, close to a third of it, is ongoing LCFF funding. But then there were 3 significant grant projects that are built on one-time funding for the next few years that are embedded within this budget. Biggest challenge across the state of California is ADA loss. There's been a lot of population movement outside of California. And one of the great news in this budget is that it allows for 3-year averaging of our ADA to our pre-COVID numbers against our current enrollment. And so that has mitigated our potential significant cliff in terms of our revenues that are advantageous to us. And want to highlight the work of Dr. Finneran and her team and working with the board last fall to put the independent study procedures in place to make it so that we qualify for the ADA loss mitigation, but also the grant funding or the gap funding that will come along with this. So we'll go over the highlights today, and then go over the Cliff Notes, and happy to go into the extended cut, knowing that many committees have had their fingerprints on this. One of the big new projects is Transitional Kindergarten is going to be accessible for all over the course, with a progressively increasing window over the course of the next few years. The mandate for TK comes along with a need for broader square footage for classrooms, along with staffing ratios of 12 to 1, 12 students to 1 adult, and soon to be 10 students to 1 adult. And so the states addressed this because the one-time grant funding that came along to fund that mandate was underwhelming. They addressed this in the budget by not only giving us a grade span adjustment, but also increasing, having a TK ratio that increased the per student add-on to about $2,800 per student. So that is a help for those small class sizes, but also it is a drop in the bucket for some of the facilities upgrades that we need to take this to scale. So we'll be looking, don't want to be a broken record, but aforementioned bond campaign could help with that, those efforts. 3 new categorical grants are of interest and will be brought to, plans will be brought to the Finance and Pathways Committees and then to the entire board. The first is a Learning Recovery Block Grant. The qualifying expenses are on the screen right now, decreasing, class size ratios, credit recovery, closing learning gaps, providing supplemental academic services. This grant really seems to be positioned to potentially extend some of the ESSER 2 GEAR funded programs post-COVID to help continue to advance any student who needs to continue to accelerate their learning to grade level. For this, we will have a one-time deposit of $3.5 million has to be spent by 2027. We'll bring a plan to the Board of Education because every grant has a plan these days to meet the statute, as we know. So we can see the per year funding to be about $720,000 for that. Second grant is interestingly named. It's called the Arts Instructional Materials Block Grant. It's funded by total ADA, whereas the previous grant was funded based on the number of English learner, foster youth, and low-income students that we have. This is funded on our total ADA. And as the name says, it can be used for arts and instructional materials, but if you look to the far right of this slide, it was also positioned to allow for general operational costs and COVID supplies, given that COVID grant money is expiring across the state. So this is an operational grant in addition to what's in the title. For us, we have through 2026 to spend it. We'll receive a one-time deposit about $6.3 million. So 1.5 million per year funding. The most interesting and complicated grant program from the state that I may have ever seen is this one. It's called the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. And the goal of this is to provide extended care at no cost for families in TK6 who meet one or more of the criteria. They're English learner, they're from a low-income background, or they are foster youth. What's interesting about this is not only do we have to provide at least 50% of the families in our district who meet that criteria in TK6 extended care at no cost. We also need to provide them a minimum of 30 intersession days, so summer plus winter break plus potentially spring break of additional instruction. Great for kids who are historically, from a subgroup perspective, can be high risk. A challenge for us is this grant was actually funded less at a lower rate for a district like ours who has a lower population of students who meet those criteria than a district who has an economy of scale at a much higher rate. And so if we do not administer this program at all 9 of our elementary schools, we need to also consider transportation costs. Right now, we need to begin the implementation of this grant, which will be heavily audited this fall. So we'll be working with Dr. Finneran and her team on that. But if we don't offer it at every school, again, we have a transportation requirement. So that is an annual grant. There is no set or expected deadline on that one. Our funding is $1.4 million. And a clarity just came out from CDE. We can return that $1.4 million to the state if we don't want to implement that grant program. That grant program is great for kids, and we will implement it and use those dollars for their intended purpose. Other noteworthy funding, there was I'll highlight 3 areas. So special education had an increase of $820 of reimbursement per ADA. For us, that's about a $1 million net increase. On the backside, we are now the recipients of regional mental health money that previously went to the Lbca. And instead of in not having that money go through the Lbca as a JPA pooling our mental health services for students, our additional cost is going to be roughly $1 million. So we're getting $1 million in, $1 million is going to go out. So just tempering that news. School nutrition for all students, regardless of income status, breakfast and lunch will be free. So we're working with Dr. Cannon and her team in implementing that program. And what's especially fascinating is school transportation. So right now, we are receiving a transportation reimbursement from the state that is equivalent to the same amount we received in 1979. And now, in this budget, transportation in the budget is a 60% reimbursement rate. Concern across the state is it's underfunded. Worst case scenario, we get what we've received since 1979. Best case scenario, if it is a 60% reimbursement, we should see $1 million in new revenue. So as we look ahead, already highlighted the uncertain economy that we're facing. We also, Measure G is almost fully mature, as was stated in a previous item, about a $1 million left. The unknown impact of SPED funding is a statewide challenge. And as we know, many great programs were funded on post-COVID one-time grant funds that will start to sunset in the next couple of years. So we do need to continue to have conversations about efficiencies on a portion of our budget that is built on a foundation of one-time funding. And we also know there's new one-time funding to consider for those programs that are having an impact. In terms of our revise, we need to project to the state to meet the AB 1200 requirement that we have a 3% reserve on the out year in 24-25. We have had LACO review our math, and they have certified our numbers. So we have a 3% operating reserve. We will need to, as I already stated, look at efficiencies in the next couple of years. And we do have, as outlined on the bottom row, that Fund 17, which the board committed earlier this spring to help us be strategic about the programs that we want to continue.
Is efficiencies your word for cuts?
Efficiencies, I believe, is a word we've been using since I've been here, 7 years. Yeah.
Okay. I don't feel like there's any efficiencies left to squeeze. I mean, when I hear efficiencies, I feel like there are things that we're doing that are wasteful and we can be more efficient. And my sense is we've, unless I'm wrong, unless there's more fat to be trimmed, that we've taken a pretty decent cut to the fat, if there was any. And so
It's just a
efficiency
nicer
doesn't make-
term, but we've always called it that.
Okay, but efficiency doesn't sound like it's going to hurt, and
No, it's gonna
we're going to feel that 7 million. Those are going to be felt in the classroom or in other things, correct?
Challenges, yes. And short answer is yes. And the challenge is the last few years have brought one-time money to serve student programs post-COVID that required personnel that didn't have ongoing funding. And that's the challenge before us, is to really evaluate which of those programs has, and which of our current programs is best serving students, so we're strategic with our money.
I did have one question. Check me if I'm wrong. It seems like this is the highest percentage I've ever seen of our overall budget going to salaries and benefits. It's 99%
No.
of our entire budget is going towards, if I'm doing the math right, we're making 156 in revenues and we're spending 154 million on salaries and benefits. I've never seen the number that close. I thought it was usually like 90% of our budget was going towards staff. This is 99%.
No. So what we don't have, what this is a 140-page budget reduced into one. So all the restricted revenues are pulled out. All the local other revenues are pulled out. So this is really looking at an unrestricted lens.
So when it says total revenues of 156,483,000, is that not our total operating budget that we're projecting for 22-23? And then it says total expenditures, and it only lists 3: certificated salaries, classified salaries, and employee benefits, and those consume, actually it's 98.8, but we'll call it 99% of all of revenues. I know that we're deficit spending, so we're spending more, but I mean, if we're looking at just what we take in and what we spend,
Correct.
we're spending 99% of what we're getting from the state is going immediately to salaries and benefits, and that seems like an all-time high to me. Is that right?
That number does not match my understanding, but I don't have the full budget in front of me. I can do a follow-up for you. As you know, 6 weeks into this job.
Sure.
Without a director of accounting, so I got to look.
Yeah, because the numbers don't even add up. The certificated salaries, classified salaries, and employee benefits do not equal 154 million. So.
Oh, you're right. So that is missing a couple lines.
Right. So it is missing a couple items. So maybe in the future, Dr. Gleason, think about that. Maybe in the future add, because I know it's more of a streamlined, and I really appreciate this, the way you've presented it.
I think this is what the auditors
Oh, okay.
suggested as a way to present it. Am I not correct? That they,
Yeah, I'm pulling the
I sort of
agenda.
appreciated the more streamlined
Oh, I
version of
agree.
this.
But it is a little misleading here because you have to add it, because it says under expenditures, it just says certificated salaries, classified salaries, employee benefits, and then it has 154 million. And that doesn't equal that.
It's missing $26 million.
Yeah, right.
So anyways.
So if you look at, I'm reminded what I did. So if you look at the agenda item.
Yeah.
you'll see right after the write-up, you'll see all the costs that are, I understand the misleading, I apologize. You'll see all the costs are built into service and operating expenditures, capital outlay, that's all included. Truncated this to show that the overwhelming amount of our budget is coming from personnel costs, but certainly not at a 98% rate. And I could definitely see how the slide presented that, Mr. Lawrence, so.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, I liked the other slide that had 47 numbers in detail for me in one spot for a snapshot. So if we, I know this is the revised, but like if we could continue to provide that to the whole board in the agenda item, that'd be helpful for me.
Okay.
Well,
It didn't have
I'd
to
like
look
this
that,
as
but-
well.
Yeah, I think they're both good, but I don't have the, I'm not spending the time with you that the committee is, so for
Right.
me, that snapshot is helpful to see where the funds are coming, where are the cliffs coming, and so forth.
Salary and benefits are 83.7%.
Which seems normal.
Yeah.
That's, okay.
If you're,
Actually has been slightly creeping up over time.
Because the state has shifted the benefit stuff.
Yeah, and the state got rid of, set-asides, categoricals like deferred maintenance.
Okay.
Which I think at its peak might have been $4 million a year, and that was untouchable.
Great. That makes total sense. Was looking at that, it just did not compute for me. So, okay.
We've had a number of agenda items tonight, so thank you for helping remind me what we did.
No,
So
you're
there we are. So as we look ahead, so as we look to the next, the agenda items moving forward, so we do have the Finance Committee coming up on September 7th, confirming that date. We then, on September 13th, need to report the unaudited actuals. Our team is working to close the books. And then we have Finance Committees on October 14th, December 2nd, with our first interim being brought December 13th. As shared before, there are a lot of important conversations around priorities that will happen in Finance Committee this year, and also some tools in the toolbox to sustain the programs that we find are best working for kids.
Thank you. An excellent presentation and much more streamlined. It's terrific. Thank you very much. Ms. Mangus, would you like a motion to approve?
Yes, please.
I move to approve the 45-day budget revision.
I second it.
All those in favor? Student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Approval of consolidated application for funding categorical aid programs, item number 2.
Dr. Gleason.
Madam President, members of the board, this is an annual item we bring before the board that gives us direction and consent for the district to apply for federal categorical programs, specifically Title I, which serves our students who are high risk, Title II, which provides professional development resources for staff, Title III, which supports English learner programs, Title IV, which support technology and safety and arts and innovation. This provides millions of dollars to support the general fund. We need board direction in order to apply for these funds.
Motion to approve. Show me the money.
Second.
All
So
those-
This is compliance.
Does anybody have any questions or anything?
It's compliance to allow us to submit the application in the next 2
This
weeks.
is just the oversight process we have to do.
Okay. All those in favor? Student?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, aye. Oh,
Oh, sorry, student.
Student member.
Sorry.
Aye.
Board?
aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Item number 3, approval of resolution number 2-22 to transfer balance of Fund 67 to Fund 1.
Dr. Gleason.
Madam President, members of the board, this item, as outlined in the description, anytime the board moves funding, or anytime staff recommends that the board move funds from one fund to the next, we need a board resolution. We have a fund that is vested in the past that currently has reimbursements for employee benefits in that account. Recommendation in working with our county office as well as our auditors has been to close the account and transfer to the general fund. Your approval tonight on this resolution allows us to enact those efforts.
This is like straightforward accounting, right? So
Correct.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Moving right along, Approval of resolution number 3-22, closure of Chase account 1865.
Dr. Gleason.
Madam President, members of the boards, very similar to the previous item, to close an account that is held by Las Virgenes, we need to have a board resolution. We have an account holding cash of those employee reimbursements that needs to be closed so we can transfer to the general fund. The recommendation is to authorize.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Number 7.
Moving on to number 7, approval of declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
Dr. Seyfried.
Madam President, members of the board, this is an annual item for us to help staffing needs at our school sites, required by the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. For this particular item, staff is seeking approval, which is a declaration of need and allows for emergency credentials to apply to folks with emergency credentials to apply for regular teaching positions, so long as that candidate is enrolled in a credentialing program.
Also standard operating procedure every year, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'd like to ask a question.
Absolutely.
Dr. Vadera would like to ask if, let me see here, how many uncredentialed staff do we currently have?
Year to year typically ranges from about 1% to 2%. This year it is 12 of 500, so.
12 what?
12.
12 of
12 is the short answer out of 500.
12 people.
12
Okay.
is the short answer.
And what is the policy and procedure for those staff members?
So long as they are enrolled in a program working towards their credential, this approval grants them the ability to teach in a classroom, and then our expectation is that they get that credential while teaching in the classroom.
Terrific. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Item number 8, approval of provisional internship permit credential for mild, moderate support needs.
Always a favorite of cabinet. We have PIPs on the agenda. Dr. Seyfried.
Staff is seeking approval of a provisional internship permit credential to fill out a mild, moderate support position. The candidate has a bachelor's degree from Cal State Channel Islands and is currently getting his master's degree in special education.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, student?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Public hearing, Lvca tentative agreement. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Would you like to move? Oh, we have to vote, sorry.
Does
You need
anybody
to
have?
vote.
We have to vote.
You vote first, Linda, to open it.
Oh. And this, is this a board vote?
This is only a board.
Board vote only? All those in favor?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is open.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
And I'll
Nobody here to speak?
And I'll second it.
All those in favor, board vote only?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Approval of Lbca tentative agreement.
Madam President, members of the board, this is where we do want to take a second to pause and share appreciation. Dr. Seyfried and Ms. Menges, I think, shared at the top of the board meeting, but appreciate the hard work from our classified team, and then in a few agenda items, our certificate team. But they were here in the summer working, advocating hard for their members, our staff, who are loved, appreciated. And so we do appreciate their hard work with Dr. Seyfried and his team coming to this agreement to make sure it's in paychecks even before we start the school year. And it's exciting to be able to do a number this large. Of course, we all wish we could do more, but we are excited to be here. Dr. Seyfried.
For this one, if I can give a particular shout out to Ms. Elaine Gottfried-Allman and Ms. Hallie Chambers for their collaborative relationship with Lvca. It has been so fantastic to see both negotiating teams under their leadership, and to talk a little bit about the agreement, I'll pass the mic to Ms. Chambers.
Madam President, members of the board, we worked collaboratively with Lvca during the spring and summer months to negotiate the tentative agreement that we're bringing forward this evening. The TA was ratified on Friday, August 5th by Lvca, and includes an 8% ongoing raise exclusive of ESY, extended school year, a one-time increase to health benefit allowances for the 2023 calendar year, 3 days added to the calendar for some of our job classifications, and then 2 optional days of PD that employees can earn during the upcoming 22-23 school year. In addition to salaries and benefits, the district and association agreed on revised language for Article 4, hours and overtime, Article 12, safety, Article 13, classified layoffs, and Article 17, orientation and training. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to approve the Lvca tentative agreement.
I'll second.
All those in favor, this is a board
Wait,
vote.
wait, can we have comments?
Yes.
No, I have no comments.
I would also like to echo a thanks to the LVC leadership, President Elaine Gottfried-Ullman and her team and the district team. To me, this is one of the most special things and about our district. Our union leadership teams are so collaborative. They're real partners with us. I mean, I'm deeply touched every time we do this. They negotiate during the summer, so they take their summer to spend time here negotiating, as opposed to doing it during the school year where they would be needing substitutes for their jobs, whether it be teachers or classified. And I'm just so impressed with the partnership. And again, it makes Las Virgenes so special, and thank you. And it's very important that we keep the big picture in mind. It's very important that we offer salaries that are competitive. Our salaries are not on the high end, they're not on the lowest, but they're right there in the middle. And as Dr. Seifert said, it would be great if we could offer more, but we're right in the middle. And it is important that we retain and attract the best and the brightest. That's what we want for our schools, for our students, and for our staff. And we value our staff for the professionals they are. So we thank you very much for doing this.
I agree completely. Appreciate our staff, and it's an important process. And
It's amazing when you sit in on negotiations, seeing all of the collaborative work going on.
yes. And I always like seeing the team in the summer.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
no, I echo everything you said. It's important that we respect and remunerate our staff for the professionals that they are and the quality job they do every single day.
Absolutely.
And my sentiments and Mrs. Cutbill's also are on behalf of the entire Board of Education. We are so fortunate to be able to serve in a community that is so committed to the success of our students and district.
So this is also a board vote only for approval of the Lvca tentative agreement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to public hearing for the Lvea tentative.
Motion to open the public hearing for Lvea tentative agreement.
A second.
All those in favor, board vote only?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Seeing nobody here, I'll make a
comments?
motion to close the public hearing. Oh, unless, unless, motion to close public hearing for Lvea tentative agreement.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of Lvea tentative agreement.
Everything we said.
Somebody.
Somebody
Yeah,
take
I was
it.
waiting for you to say, Dr. Cyphers, but
Quality,
We love our teachers and certificate staff.
yes.
if I can quickly say too, this year, the entire contract was open, so this wasn't just your,
Yes,
you know,
there was a lot of,
so this was, in addition to all that's being presented, this was all 22 contract articles. I think the team met 9 total
Yeah.
full days. I mean, so we're
do
talking.
you feel you know it inside and out now? More
I
than
know
you-
it better each year.
Do you dream about it
I
at
actually,
night? Contract language?
Joanne brings new things to my attention every day in the contract, so this process was no different. So, but in all sincerity, I mentioned the teams at the outset, but a true appreciation for Lvea, the chief negotiator, Joan Kress, and President Darcy Miller. They, if no staff is here left anymore, but if folks are watching here tonight, you've got terrific educational leaders that advocate for you. And if you hear this, please send them a thank you, because they do great work for their
Yes,
for their
they
staff and our staff. But kudos to all the teams. Components of the agreement are similar to what was outlined for the agenda items before and after this. But all agreed upon contract language for the course of a 3-year period that pertains, in addition, some articles can be sunshine over the course of the next 2 years, but for the most part, it's a 3-year contract. The Article 13.11 is updated to indicate the 8% salary increase for certificated staff. Also encompasses, this is something that is important for community board to know, 3 of our staff development days become instructional days. So this is actually the win for staff and the community as far as extra instruction for students. Staff has the opportunity to earn optional professional development hours for 3 days outside of the work year, which is a nice win-win for staff and community. Also includes a one-time increase to the district contribution for benefits for the 2023 calendar year.
Dr. Cyphers, was this contract voted on by its members, or are we voting on to subject to ratification?
Contract is pending ratification from Lvea.
So do we need to amend our amendments?
It is indicated in the item that it is pending ratification.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
That's the same for LBCA.
LBCA is ratified.
LBCA is ratified, okay.
Okay, thank you.
I would just thank you for the process. I'm pleased that we landed in a great spot that, as I said earlier, I think, given the economic conditions in the world today, this is, it may seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, where we are, it's I think, the least we could do. I would say, just my own, and I raised this at the beginning of the process, I personally would have liked to have seen more targeted funding towards class size reduction. I know that we are putting about $600,000 into class size reduction this cycle. I know we already have smaller class sizes than others in the community, but my hope in the future going forward is that we can ratchet that down even further. I think that is, especially when we're getting large chunks of funding from the state.
Remind me, though, of the cost of class size reduction of one student at one grade level, or what's that formula, roughly?
It doesn't get you a lot.
Yeah.
So.
It's like $1 million.
Yeah, the district has allocated $1 million last year, $500,000 this year to class size reduction. So I would say that there is a significant chunk of change in there for class size.
And I think, Mr. Lawrence, the entire board and cabinet share that value of keeping class sizes low. And I think that, Dr. Cyphers, when he does the staffing and looks at sections and classes, TK through 12, you definitely have an eye on that, working with Dr. Gleason and everything. So we thank you, and that is a value that is shared with everything. The problem is if you put it in negotiation language, it limits your wiggle room when times are tough. And, I was on the board during the Great Recession and the Great Layoffs, and, it's very tough if your hands are tied, in making cuts. So thank you all. The bottom line is you negotiated in good faith, both teams. We thank you, Mrs. Kress and Ms. Miller, for your leadership, and the bargaining teams again. We want to retain and attract the best talent for our kids, and that the partnership that you have, I want to go back and say, even with COVID, we were the first district in LA County to open, and that goes to collaborative negotiation and partnership. Everybody's in it for the kids all the time, and thank you so much for your leadership and for doing it. It means the world as part of just a special district. Thank you.
Would you like a motion to approve?
Yes, please.
Motion to approve Lvea tentative agreement.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Board only.
Board only.
Aye.
Aye.
Let's just skip the next one.
Approval of management salary adjustments, item number 13.
Utilizing the same allocation of funds, the following proposal mirrors what was reached with both Lvea and Lvca and the certificate and classified bargaining units for management as well.
Motion.
Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
This is a me too. All of our employees will get the same raises. We have to do it in this format, but everybody gets raises.
Let's not use that term. Yeah, it's the wrong term.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
This is not a me too.
Okay.
There's no me too.
Okay, and this is also a board vote only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Stop. Motion passes. And then moving on to approval of career technical education teacher request for salary adjustment.
CTE salary adjustment. So CTE teachers are not a component of the Lvea bargaining unit, so we propose this separately as well. We've structured the salary schedule for our career technical education teachers so that it is consistent with the overall settlement with Lvea.
I move to approve the CTE teacher request for salary adjustment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And then approval of non-unit, non-management salary adjustments.
This, go ahead. This also mirrors the CTE for non-unit and non-management salary schedules. Similar adjustment, same adjustment, and then these encompass positions that are not a part of either bargaining unit. Examples are overhires at the Performing Arts Center, a home hospital teacher, et cetera.
Have we always done 4 of these? It feels like there's an extra one here.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
I move to approve the modification of the classified and certificated non-unit, non-management salary schedules.
Second.
All those in favor? Board
Aye.
vote only?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, now,
Dr. Cyphers, in case the school board gets questions, can you talk about substitute teachers and their compensation for a second?
Yes, absolutely. So we have, prior to the agreement, we had substitute teachers at $130 per day. We raised those rates temporarily for, we had a significant substitute shortage in the light of COVID. So we raised those at one point all the way to $205. We brought it back down to $150. And we felt, we went back to kind of the $130 for this. The increase for them is $20. It's actually over 8%, but we felt like that kind of met the need.
So are they at 150 a day?
They're going to be at $150 a day for the 22-23 school year. That is in line with our neighbors at Oak Park and Canale.
Okay.
Terrific. We're going to need those subs. We always need subs. That's great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
and I believe with all the ball bouncing tonight, I think that concludes our meeting. Meeting is adjourned.